Everyone, I'm Peggy Kay, and I'm here today in the San Francisco Bay Area to talk about all of the creator updates from the past week. This week, there are updates from YouTube, a bunch of AI tools in Canva, updates to Patreon, and a bunch more. So let's dig in. But first, I want to mention two things. Next Sunday, I am not planning to have a live stream because I will be at the Google Product Expert. I will be at the Google Product Expert Summit in London. Let me get my hair out of the way. All right. Next Sunday, no scheduled live stream. I'll be at the Google Product Expert Summit in London. I don't know what my internet connection will be at this time next Sunday. I may have time to drop in really quickly to an informal session, but I'm not planning anything. I'm going to say welcome to everyone who's here in the live chat. If you have to leave really soon, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Julian says, yes, enjoy the UK. Michael Daniels and the Geeks are going to, yes. So lots of folks that I know I'll be able to see in person. I'm really pretty excited about all of that. The other thing I want to mention is that immediately after the live stream today, I am going to be hosting a Twitter chat. We're going to be talking about finding community online. So if you're on Twitter, or X, I should say, check out my profile there. I'll post a question starting at 11. You can join in to the discussion there. So let's get started. I need to switch the tab I'm looking. I'm still getting used to Talk Studio for live streaming. This is, it used to be called Melon. All right, so let me just quickly show you the promo for the upcoming Twitter chat. That I'm done with that, I can dive right in. The first thing I wanted to mention is that the expanded YouTube Partner Program has now been rolled out or is rolling out to more countries. So this, if you recall, allows people to start monetizing with fan funding features, and it has lower requirements. I hid. Oh. All right. Apologies for my kind of flailing around because I'm still getting used to this live streaming platform. So the expanded access to the YouTube Partner Program allows you to start monetizing with fan funding, super chats, super thanks, memberships, selling things, that sort of thing, not advertiser revenue. This is gradually rolling out, and it will be available soon to a whole bunch of new countries. You can check out the list in the YouTube Help Center. If you need a link, check the description of the video, there's a link to my weekly newsletter, and you can find all of the links to the updates I'm talking about there. And you can subscribe to the newsletter to get it emailed to you once a week on Saturdays. So you have all of the updates at your fingertips. The other YouTube update I wanted to mention is a new post on the YouTube official blog. It's titled, "So You Want to Be a YouTube Creator?" It's, kind of cheerful, but it has a whole bunch of tips about how to get started creating on YouTube, how to upload, some tips on how to grow your channel, and about the algorithm and promoting your videos, making money, of course, and so forth. So if you want to get started on YouTube, this is a good place to start. If you're already using YouTube, this might be a good refresher for some of the resources YouTube has for creators. So check that out. And the next thing I wanted to talk about, I didn't open the link for, so give me just a moment. All right, so the big thing on Google this week was that they had their big hardware announcement. So they announced a new watch and new fancy earbuds, but also the Pixel 8 and Pixel 8 phone, and some brand new features in Google Photos. Those new features will at least initially be exclusive to the new phones. In the past, they have rolled out these features to other recent devices, but I wanted to highlight some of these features. They are, of course, AI-based, because what isn't these days? One thing that they have is something called Best Take. Best Take has it so that if you take a series of photos of people, you can pick the best expression for each person from that series of photos. I think it's up to debate whether this is kind of creepy, but I can kind of see how it would be nice. It reminds me a lot of a feature that the old Google Plus Photos, or maybe it was Google Photos in the early days, had, where it would automatically pick the best smile. And that was maybe arguably a little bit creepier, because not everybody is smiling all the time. But this lets you, take a bunch of photos of people and then combine the heads so everyone has their best expression. There is an AI-based magic editor. Now, this is a little bit fancier than some of the editing tools they've had in the past. You can actually not only erase objects, but also take an object and move it. You can see it on the screen there. And they also say you can change the way the sky looks. So if it's a gray and gloomy day, you can give yourself a blue sky or a sunset or whatever you like. It's less about memories and more about optimizing your photos. There is a new magic eraser for audio. This sounds really cool, actually, where you can use the AI systems to remove background noise. So things like maybe a car driving by, or I'm hoping like wind blowing that really distorts the audio. You can erase that for better audio for your video. And then finally, there's Zoom Enhance. And of course, you have all the jokes that this is like CSI, enhance. But what it does is you zoom in really, really close. And if there aren't enough pixels, it's going to look kind of jaggedy. And what it does is smooth all those pixels. It looks like it works great on structures. Here's the Golden Gate Bridge. It's not clear to me that's going to work well for things that are not so linear. But I think this will be really fun to play with, assuming it will eventually come to more phones than just the Pixel 8. So those are the big updates for Google this week. I'll mention that there are also updates for Gmail, Docs, Drive, Sheets. There's a Google Meet update. If you record your Google Meet meetings, it will record the presentation screen in a higher resolution. So there's a lot of small updates there. I recommend you check out my post that details all of those. Craig suggests combine the heads, but only one per person. Yeah, it would be a whole different thing if you could have multi-headed people. But I think that brings up an important question where at what point is this no longer recording your memory? At what point is this no longer reality? If it's no longer reality, why not do something creative like make collages of people and so forth? So we'll see where it's going. I think there's an interesting philosophical discussion to be had about editing your personal memories of photos to make them look better. I think it's interesting. One of the promos Google had at one point had it so that it made, someone who was frowning, smiling, and then you kind of think, well, that's kind of weird, right? If the person was actually in a bad mood when you took the photo, why put a smile on their face? I notice they're not showing that anymore, so maybe they got some pushback on that. But talking about AI, which we are, I wanted to say the next big update I wanted to talk about is AI tools in Canva. Now, Canva is an image editing suite now, where you can create images for social media, graphics, you can create short videos, you can do all kinds of things now. And they just introduced something they call Magic Studio, which is their whole suite of AI-based tools. Some of them are available to free accounts, some of them require a pro account. I just wanted to share some of the highlights, though. You can watch their video if you want all the details. You can use Magic Design to type out what kind of design you want to make, and it will give you a bunch of drafts. They have Magic Design for video, which I think is really kind of intriguing, where you can select a bunch of video clips, either the stock video that they have in Canva or your own video and images that you've uploaded, and it will create a video from them. I think this is interesting because one of the tools I have used in the past is the option in Google Photos to select a bunch of videos, have that put together into a movie. That presumably has always used AI, even though Google hasn't really talked about it. And I'm a little surprised that they're not actually building on that with all the generative AI tools out there. But this is similar in Canva. The advantage of doing it in Canva is that they have text overlays and graphics overlays and all kinds of things you can do. I think this is going to be fun to play with. I'm not sure if this is available to free accounts or not. There's Magic Design for presentations, where you can write text and say, oh, you want to have something created automatically. They say a pitch presentation for a fun-friendly, inclusive wellness app, and then they give a draft that you can edit. There's something they call Magic Switch. This is a premium feature where you can change the type of design you're making. So you can start with a report and turn that into a document, or turn it into a presentation, or take your presentation and turn it into an Instagram story. Things like that. It does it automatically. It resizes everything. Seems like a useful tool. They have an image editor called Magic Grab. This takes objects in your photos and allows you to move them. This is another premium feature. They have an option to expand the background in your images. Again, this is a premium feature. And they have something called Magic Morph that lets you take simple graphics or letters and make them into three-dimensional objects. Magic Edit, which is included with free accounts, lets you completely change objects that are already in your picture. You can select an area and then describe what you want to change, and it will use the AI to do that automatically. So in the example, you have a green leather purse. You select that and say you want it to be an orange furry purse, and it converts it into an orange furry purse. I've played with this a little bit. Some things work better than others. Of course, the examples always work well. And then they have something called Magic Media that creates short video clips based on your text instructions. So this one says, a magical kingdom where all your dreams come true. And it generates a sort of animated clip with a child walking towards a magical castle. So all kinds of things you can do. Magic Animate automatically animates your presentation slides just to give them a little excitement, I guess you could say. Magic Write will automatically generate text. And one thing that's kind of cool is that there's an app marketplace in Canva that lets you integrate with other apps, third-party apps. That includes Google's AI tool, which is called, I've forgotten what it's called, but it's a cloud-based AI tool. This is not Bard, this is not Duet, it has a different name that I have forgotten, but you can see it if you go in. There's also one by OpenAI, and you can integrate those with your Canva account to use those tools for creations. And then they say if you have the right kind of account, they will indemnify you against copyright infringement. You have to opt in to have any of your content used for training their AI tools. So nothing is used by default. You can turn it off. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just the opposite. You can turn it on if you want your creations to be used to help train Canva. Turn on the option to do that. Otherwise, it's off by default, which is, I think, the way it should be. Braylon has a question. Let me put that up. On Canva, I usually have a lot of pages open. If I accidentally delete a page with my design on it, is there a way to bring it back? And the answer is, I don't know. I've never actually tried to do that. I don't know if they have a trash can or not. I think that that's something that would be useful. I'll have to think about that. If anyone in the chat uses Canva, and if you know if there's a trash can for deleted pages, please chime in. All righty. So that is the big update I wanted to talk about for Canva. Now I'm going to just switch gears just a little bit here. And I wanted to mention a new study that came out just recently. Let me call up the data here. This is an article in Digiday that shows Facebook referrals to top news sites really declining quickly over the past couple of years. There's been a similar study on X. This is the Facebook data, Facebook referrals to top news sites. There's a similar study for Twitter, X, that really shows that for top news sites anyway, referrals from the social media platform are way down. So it kind of brings up the question, how worth it is it to promote your websites on social media if nobody actually follows the links? I think that's a good question. I share my links on social media, and I don't have a good sense. I never got a huge amount of traffic that way, at least not since Google+, so I'm not sure I'm the best person to do it. But along those lines, X rolled out a big change this week where they no longer show the title of a shared link. So this is from an article in The Verge. And you can see on the left side that there is, sorry, actually it's on the right side, they have the old format where you can see there was a link shared, there's a big image, and then underneath it says the domain and the title of the article. The owner of X decided they didn't like that look, so they've removed the title of the article and all you see is an image. And you can kind of see this. I'm going to share one of my own tweets here. You can see this is the link I shared to my own post, and now it just has the peggyktc.com in really small gray text, and there's really no clear indication that that's actually a link. I do have the link appear in the body of the tweet because there's text after that. I have the arrow emoji pointing down, so that's a workaround. If you share links on X, you can put text after the link, and at least the link will appear in the body of the tweet then, the body of the post. But the big concern is that this is going to reduce the amount of traffic to shared links even lower. And I know for X, I'm sure it's true with Facebook, they'd rather people post things natively on the platform. The drawback of that is that only people on the platform see your content then. So it might be good if your entire audience is on X, if your entire audience is on Facebook, focus there. But the problem with that is that these sites change their priorities. They change the way things work. And so if you invest a lot of time and effort posting natively, you could lose in the end. And then if you no longer want to post there, your audience isn't likely to come with you. So I always really suggest people have their own website, their own domain. You can always go back to that. So along those lines, though, I wanted to talk about one more update where Patreon is going through a bit of an identity crisis. Now, Patreon, as you probably know, is a place for creators to be funded. So you can have fans, they can give you a small amount of money, and you can then share unique content with them. It's like memberships on YouTube, except it's a separate platform. This week they announced a rebranding, which is very, very odd. Maybe I'm just old, but their new logo is sort of, it still kind of looks like a capital P, but it's like a blob. And they do these three-dimensional things, so it really is just a blob. And then they have a new font that they're using that looks really blurry to me. So this update to me looks like they're into blurry blobs. Oh, I didn't actually show that on the stream. Apologies for that. I will give you a quick look at the blurry blobs. This is the new blurry font. So Patreon has a new logo. It's kind of in the shape of the P, but it's a blob, and they have no brand colors or anything. They just make it whatever background they feel like. And they're talking about it being dynamic and animating, but it kind of looks like a little puddle to me. And then they have this new font that looks pretty blurry to me. Again, maybe I'm old, but I don't quite understand this look. They also, along with this, are really trying to make Patreon be the home site for creators. So they have lots of new features. People can follow you on Patreon without paying anything. You can have free followers, and then you can choose to share some content privately. You can have a chat with your followers and share unique content. So they want you to be doing everything on Patreon. And part of what I've been reading is that a lot of smaller creators are thinking this is catering towards the really big creators. Smaller creators, this probably doesn't help that much. A lot of fans aren't interested in hanging out on Patreon. They just, want to give you a little bit money, maybe see some exclusive content. And there's the bigger problem where if you put your main home site as Patreon, if Patreon changes what they do, you're stuck then, because your audience is on Patreon rather than on your own site. So I would think twice before actually diving all in to do your content there. But one of the things that I think I'm discovering is that there's too many sites now. There's all these different places where you can be, X, and not just X and Facebook and Instagram, but do you go to Patreon? Do you go to all these other sites to post your content? And individual creators who don't have a team, I don't know how you even keep up with that. How do you create your content if you're expected to also be in your group chat and maybe in the Discord server with all your fans and so forth? I don't know if it's possible. So those are all the big updates for this week. Again, I wanted to note that next week I will be in London, so I won't have a live stream scheduled. I may post something. So I will see you back here in 2 weeks. I'm going over to Twitter, where I will be hosting a Twitter chat, X chat, or whatever we call it now, about finding community online. And along those lines, I just wanted to point out this passage from Taylor Lorenz. Taylor Lorenz is a reporter who talks about internet culture. She has a new book out called Extremely Online, which I'm really curious to read. But anyway, she's been doing interviews, and she talked about how being on Tumblr really changed her life, where she was working a bad job, going nowhere. Somebody shared Tumblr with her, and she said she had never been exposed to so many interesting people and communities, and it changed her life because she realized, wow, there's actually this whole world out there. And so I wanted to leave you with that, because that's what I think about when I talk about finding community online. There's a whole world out there. Meet new people, learn new things. So thank you so much for joining me today live. I will see you in 2 weeks.